is Houston. Say again, please.
Houston, we've had a problem. We've had a main B plus undervolt.
Roger, main B undervolt. Okay, stand by, 13. We're looking at it.
All right, welcome kings and queens. Today we are talking Love and Marriage Huntsville. Listen, I told y'all in 2023 that Love and Marriage Huntsville is the gift that keeps on giving. Listen, they don't want to do right. I'm going to start calling the cast of the show the Can't Get Right Posse. Because, honey, when it comes to minding your manners, closing your mouth, and focusing on the business that pays you, I think Carlos went and found a group of rejects and just, y'all, they act like they ain't never been nowhere. If the truth be told, with the exception of just a few from that show, with the exception of a few, the rest of them act like they ain't never been nowhere. But let's talk about it. I'm going to cover this one today. After today, when I'm done with this one, I owe you all one more. So today we're talking Love and Marriage Huntsville, Season 7, Episode 14. Listen, I count my seasons different. But this is the episode that Keke showed up to. And then I owe you all a review for the season finale. So let's jump in. For those of you who are just tuned in, or if you're new to the channel, welcome to the palace. I am Queen Shiba. I cover a variety of hot topics specific to reality television, but most importantly, I hone in on the psychological and the behavioral traits of the Black experience.
Subscribe now.
Okay, so I'm going to start my review and pick up with the trust fall. That was the activity that Miss Nell coordinated for the, just for the group inside the home. Listen, the trust fall should have been a random draw. Okay, in my opinion. It was a bit off-putting because to me, in my opinion, there was no outcome or solid reasoning to the exercise. And if so, we missed it, or I missed it, or the producers failed to show it to us because if you're going to do it, go ahead and talk about it. Who has issues with who? And a good pair up, when we think about, okay, based on who has issues with who, here's a random lineup that I would have put together. Courtney and Marcel, or Marcel and Stormy. Melody and Leticia, or Kimmy and Melody. Martell and Chris, and Nell and Maurice. Okay? Nell and Chris should have participated. Because what we don't want to do is establish couples as if they're the principal or the leaders of the pack. If you're going to be on the show, you got to be on the show as a couple, as equal. You're my equal. You're my peer, okay? But to place Melody with Martell at this point, Nell, you got to grow up when it comes to that Martell and Mel shit. It's played out. You too grown for it. We're too grown for it. It's a bit of a reach. Let it go. They're no longer together. They are divorced. It was a very nasty, ugly divorce. It's still ugly and nasty. And I'll talk about that in a different review when it comes to Martell spouting off again on social media. Okay. On social media, that narc is all up in his feelings, honey. He's narking. But anywho, narc away. So yeah, Miss Nell, you got to stop it. You gotta stop it. At this point, it's kind of messy, in my opinion. And also, I feel like Martell would have allowed Melody to fall, if the truth be told. If you go back and you look at his stance, he had his hands on his hips, and he would have let her ass hit that floor so hard. He was not ready to catch her. So it was a good thing that she did kind of throw herself on the floor, okay? If the truth be told, he wasn't trying to be there like that. But then have the nerve to open up his mouth to don't forget, I'm the father of your 4 children. No, I think that's a conversation you should have had with the man in the mirror, sir. Every day, all day. Every time you allow Arion to go online and disrespect the mother of your 4 children, you should be thinking, that's the mother of my 4 children. But anywho, wait a minute. So in the middle of this exercise, right? In the middle of this exercise, the camera just completely switched and it zoomed outside. And I just started laughing. I was tickled. Okay, because I had seen y'all's comments on Kiki's shorts, but I had yet to see the episode. And honey, I was tickled. I was just so tickled by those little shorts. What's wrong with Kiki's shorts? Was it because they're kind of similar to the 80s? And what was it? I thought they were kind of cute. I thought they were kind of cute. So Kiki comes in and the group is completely stunned. Like, damn. So Miss Nell takes the floor and she tells the group why she invited Kiki to the trip, okay? She gave Kiki the floor and Kiki apologized. Kiki started to apologize to, what's her name? Kimmy and Maurice, okay? Now, here's my thing. I don't believe in doing anything you don't mean. And if you're not moving forward out of that moment, okay? If you don't want to apologize, don't apologize. But don't give an apology that's dry, matter of fact, guarded. You don't mean it. We know you didn't mean it. You did it as if it was just like something from a task list that you just check off. I cannot stand that. I'd rather somebody not apologize to me and I could still be cool with you. But don't give me no shitty ass apology. And I felt like that's what she did when it came to Leticia, but she didn't mean it. And she said in her confessional, she's not sorry. So why apologize? What are we doing? Grow up. Okay? I felt like her apology towards Leticia was very guarded and matter of fact, but I get it. I get it. Because on the flip side, I said, well, you know what? She was probably in a protective defensive mode, which is why you should have stayed home. But okay. But I'll hold my peace. Okay. Black women, we are far more beautiful when we exude vulnerability. Okay. We are so much more beautiful when we are soft and lovely. And I just felt like Kiki has not found her soft spot. If she could find her soft spot, she would be more palatable. Kiki, you've got to stop talking. You got to resist the need to have the last word. It's very off-putting. It's just it makes you look so bad. You do it on social media. You did it in this scene, and Maurice and Kimmy could have been reeled in really easily if you would have just paused after they gave you their feedback. I said it over and over, and I'll say it again. Pause. Pause, pause, pause. There's so much safety in a pause. If you would simply, or if you would have simply said, "Thank you. I appreciate that feedback." In that moment, Kiki, that would have been enough. That would have been just enough. Thank you. I appreciate your feedback. All you had to do was listen, allow them to express their disappointment in your behavior. That's it. Which tells me that Kiki, in my opinion, has a lot of growing to do emotionally. Okay. There's some opportunity here. And I kind of get what that therapist was saying. When it comes to maybe that little girl that's on the inside, I think you feel like you have to defend everything because you can't be on high octane and operate like that and expect to be on reality television, which is why I stand on my point and I hold my point. Kiki is not a good fit for reality television. Now, let me say something. Y'all are going to be shocked by this review. Y'all are going to be a little bit shocked by this review. So don't be getting all in your feelings in the comments and calling me ops. I'm a human being. And I understand and I value and I respect other human beings. Okay. No matter how I feel after Kiki apologized, Leticia walked out. And I felt her pain because at the same time, no matter how we feel about Leticia, she is still a human being. And she did not deserve that attack from Kiki, let alone her cousin. That was rude. Every time I think about that drink, okay? People forget that we don't want women doing that to each other because somebody didn't say hi to you. No, you don't get to attack somebody because they did not say hello to you. Okay, I'm still standing on business when it comes to that. Okay. And yes, to those of you that's like, whoa, well, that's not that bad. Listen, throwing liquid on somebody is still a physical assault. Today it's water. What if it would have been something else in that cup? You get what I'm saying? So it's still a physical attack, not assault. I'm sorry, physical attack. And I believe that Leticia walked out to keep from crying because maybe she felt that Nell did not have her best interests at heart. I think Nell was trying to create a moment. And Nell, you got to be very careful. I said that in my last review. Be very careful that you don't lose your emotional intelligence in trying to be this breakout star, creating these messy moments. Okay. And I have to adhere to what's right and wrong. Leticia was hurt. She should have been a part of the conversation regarding Kiki coming to Houston. Nell, you should have reached out to her. You don't really need her permission, but I would have given her a heads up. Hey, there's a possibility Kiki may come. She reached out to me. I just want to let you know so that you're not blindsided. What are y'all's thoughts? Nell, I feel like you dropped the ball on this one as a quote unquote mentor. Because she said she's a mentor. I feel like she dropped the ball. If that's the route that you're taking, mentor, you did a horrible job. Okay. Um, but on the flip side of that coin, Leticia, let's not forget, and this is to Leticia, baby, this is reality television, and the producers have allowed you all to become comfortable. When I say you all, I'm talking about the Scotts. They've allowed y'all to become comfortable, feeling like you're safe and that your life is off limits and nobody can make you uncomfortable and that you have this guaranteed safety. You, Marcel, Kimmy, and Maurice, okay? You've become so comfortable with these fake storylines and running shit that things have shifted and now you're in your feelings about it, okay? Don't forget, Leticia, it's reality television, okay? I feel like there's too many Scotts on the show. And because there were too many Scotts before we introduced the Fletchers into like the dynamic, that made them feel like they were running the show. Okay. Now they're having a hard time being casted in the spotlight. There's always a wild card, baby, that could be played at any moment, anytime when it comes to reality television. And if you don't like it, Leticia, remember, I'm looking at this thing from all viewpoints. If you don't like it, Leticia, if you don't like getting uncomfortable, Kiki, if you don't like getting uncomfortable, Marcel, and any of the Scotts, then leave the show. Because the audacity, y'all, what it really comes down to is the audacity of Kiki, the audacity of Leticia, the audacity. Just think about it. All of them really want the privilege of being catered to. That's really what this come down to if you really pay attention, okay? Now, I feel like Nell completely mishandled the situation. I did not feel right, nor did I feel good about how she told Kiki that she couldn't stay in the house. Listen, it ain't what you say, it's how you say it. I told y'all were going to be shocked because right is right, wrong is wrong. The moment you told Kiki she could come, Miss Nell, she became your guest, okay? When you agreed to have her. And that's not how you speak to your guests. You don't do that to your guests. Or at least I wouldn't. I would. I would not have treated my guests like that because I feel like it's irresponsible to kick her out in the moment. And Miss Nell, you got to be real careful because the same thing that we love you for will also cause us to be resistant against you. So you got to balance out your strengths and make sure that you're not heavy-handed when it comes to creating moments at the expense of others. What do you all think? Do you feel like Miss Nell could have handled it better how she told Kiki she had to leave the house? I felt like it was rude. Okay. Me personally, now, you wouldn't get a chance to kick me out of the house because, first of all, I wouldn't go anywhere where I'm not welcome. Because I feel like in that moment, Nell took a position of superiority, and I didn't like that. You failed to bring the group together, okay? You dropped the ball. That's all on you, Miss Nell. You don't talk to people like that and make them feel like crap. You know, you cannot stay here. You gotta, girl, if you don't tone it down and be more respectful in the moment. That was embarrassing. And I believe that yeah, she could have done better. All right. I want to call out something really quick. Keep in mind that I wrote this review I'm going to say about December 28th. Yeah. I'm just now sharing it with y'all. I had no idea that Martell would act a fool on social media and damn near challenging Fred and his boss, right? Now, in my notes, I wrote, I don't like Martell. After this episode, I do not like Martell and Melody on screen together anymore. I don't. It's ineffective, it's negative, and it's toxic. And I believe as long as they remain on the show together, we're going to get the same old, same old. Whether it plays out on social media or it plays out on the screen, the season finale is time to move on. It is time to move on. And Martell isn't going to be able to move on or push forward past what he's done to ruin his family without trying to vindicate himself by making accusations against Melody. I wrote this December 28th, y'all. Now, here we go. Yesterday he comes out on social media with the same old attacks against Melody. She's accusing me of abusing my child, but I'm going to say that. I'm going to come back to that. And here we are falling for it, watching it play out on screen, watching Miss Nell put them together, watching it happen again on a season finale, which I'll cover that tomorrow. It's time. Carlos, you're going to have to make a decision. Somebody got to go. Okay? I'm tired of the conversation regarding who cheated, why they cheated. I don't give a damn. They're divorced now. Why are we still talking about it? Okay? Martell needs a storyline. And Martell is becoming extremely desperate because he completely narked out and ruined the remainder of that exercise, okay? Between him and Keke, that it was a cluster F. It was a mess. It was dark. It was negative. It was just, and they let him act a fool. And no one had the wherewithal to intercede and ask his ass to pipe down. And as a matter of fact, what y'all could have done was just walk out. I don't think people understand true power and how to truly elevate. Miss Nell all up in there as a married woman yelling at the top of her voice with a girl, you done lost your mind. I wish I would. See, Martell's the type. If you gonna engage with him like that, you gotta curse him out. I'm talking about a good old school cursing out, okay? You can't let a narc ruin a moment because that's what they're notorious for. And that's exactly what he did. Okay. Anything else he comes up with regarding staying on this show would be dangerously associated with getting his lick back from Melody. He's not going to stop until he gets his lick back, whether he embarrasses her publicly, he catches her slipping, he gets some information on her that he can use against her. He's not going to stop. Carlos, it is time to cut the cord, okay? It beats the purpose of excellence. They don't get along. There's a lot of tension. They're not friendly with each other. Revenge, he's revenge plotting. He's still holding on to that, okay? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. He didn't put his baby mama up to going to a blogger. See, right after this episode, did y'all catch on how original Straight No Chaser came back? Because she's in my opinion. You know, she's probably good friends with Ariane and Martell. So they made sure that they spun the block, her and Ariane, and redropped the audio to attack Melody. Y'all, that has Martell written all over it, in my opinion. It's just time to part ways for good. It's time for him to go. It's time for him to go. It really is, okay? Someone is going to have to pull the plug. I'm a person of solution. I cannot tolerate dysfunction for a long period of time. Remove Martell from the show and keep Melody. If you don't want to do that, Carlos, then give Melody a spinoff and keep Martell. But to keep trying to hold on to what used to be, because it used to make good TV, it's insane to me. They are divorced. Let it go. Because the reality of it all, typically, we wouldn't see this in real life anyway. Working at the same job, arguing at the same job. You can't do this shit in real life. So let's go ahead and pull the cord and make a really tough decision. Carlos King, okay? Martell needs in my opinion, Martell needs an unhealthy environment to thrive. He has to keep an unhealthy, toxic attachment to Melody to keep him employed. And it's pretty disgusting to watch the women on the show play into it. Kimmy and Nell. Yeah, I'm disappointed in Miss Nell because ain't no friend of mine in real life would have been standing in that room arguing with the likes of a Martell Holt. I would have looked at her like, if you don't get your ass in this kitchen and let him talk to the wall like the fool that he is, girl, we not doing that, okay? We would have left his butt in that room to argue with himself. And Melody, I really wish you hadn't given him any energy at all. I understand clearing the air and you know, people get tired of folks lying on them. But that's why I said one of them, Carlos, you got to pull Martell or you got to give a Melody a spinoff or completely cut Martell. People can only take so much. And he's going to continue to be disruptive. But I really wish Melody hadn't given him any energy, period. Because that's exactly what he needed as a narc, attention. And they don't care if it's positive or negative, as long as they get it. This was a horrible trip, in my opinion. Horrible, horrible trip. And I have to assign that responsibility to Nell. Houston, Nell is the problem. And maybe, Nell, you should have held off on sponsoring a trip until you had a bit more experience under your belt. But child, I am exhausted by this trip. I'm exhausted. I was while I was watching it. Chris Fletcher, you were equally disappointing this episode that I'm reviewing. Equally disappointing. Look at this, y'all. Look at this. Chris Fletcher, I'm sorry to say this, but you need your behind whooped, period, point blank. What exactly does Martell have on you that gives him a rite of passage to disrespect the hell out of your wife in front of you? How do you allow him to hold you hostage where you can't even step in for your wife? Did y'all see that he stood on the other side of the cafeteria with the boys, like back in elementary school? Look at this. He's standing on the side with the boys while his wife is being berated, disrespected. This is the most disrespectful thing that a man could do. You allowed him to dominate your woman, and you did nothing but put your hand in front of her and move it down like an elevator, asking her to bring it down. How dare you? Okay? All that TikTok shit is cute, but sometimes you're going to have to put your grown boy, your masculine stuff on, Chris. This ain't time to be a pretty boy. You should have put your boots on and put your foot in Martell's behind when it came to Miss Nell, which is why I say, what does he have on you? Okay? And then he looked at your wife and said, then don't be against me. You remember he asked me, y'all, in his interview with me. He turned quick. Are you against me? Nigga, I'm not for you. And he told your wife, then don't be against me. And you did absolutely nothing. You too pretty for me, Chris. And now, as long as you continue to dominate Chris, I'm going to just give you a word of advice. He will not protect you.
Jesus